Welcome to Rip It Up, the Renovations podcast. I'm Jenny.
I'm Kate, and between us we've renovated a lot of houses and it hasn't scared us off.
In fact, we loved it so much that we can't stop talking about it. So in this podcast, we will give you all the tools and info that you need to tackle your own renovation like a pro. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back from holidays, Kate.
Thank you.
How was
Jen?
it?
Yeah, it was
great
good.
time.
It was good. It was hot.
Yeah.
It was about as hot as it was here when I arrived back, actually.
I'm not saying I don't like the hot weather, but it was nice to have a good night's sleep last night with the rain. Do you know?
Give my Dyson fan a break.
Yeah, my sleep score is back in the 90s. Okay, while you were gone, I want to give a shout out. Anyone who listened to my quick update last week and who signed up as an early bird, thank you so much. If you didn't hear, Kate and I are working on creating better renovation tools and resources for anyone who is going through a renovation or doing up a part of their house. So we would love to hear your input. If you're planning a renovation, if you are in the middle of a renovation, if you've just been through a renovation and you want to vent and give us your input,
just call me directly.
Yeah, just go. We've got a helpline. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at ripitupearlybird@gmail.com. I'll pop that email in the show notes. For anyone who signed up or for anyone who signs up this week, we've got a welcome gift for you off the basis of today's topic, which is going to be your walkthrough, your checklist, your snag list, what to look for. And what we're talking about today, because this is hot off the press for Kate's personal experience.
It's not off, it's still on the press.
Still hot on the press.
Very much so on the press. I'm in the thick of it.
So what we're talking about today is when you're approaching the end of your renovation, what do you need to think about? How do you operate with a retention to hold back some money in case your builder or your tradesperson has done not the right job? What do you do? How do you manage those conversations if something has been done not the way you want it? And how do you do the final walkthrough? What is a snag list? How do you come back and make sure all of that happens?
Yeah.
That's where we are today.
And can I say one thing, right? So toward the end of a build, things crop up, right? It's when systems are tested and everything has to join up and come together. So like you will find things wrong. And I suppose the main thing is don't panic. I know if my husband listens to this, he'd be like, well, you should take your own advice. I have been panicking over the last few weeks. It's hard not to, I suppose, when it's your own house. But don't think it's out of the ordinary for things to crop up. Like, it's fairly typical as soon as plumbing be tested and run and whatever and connected, that you'll find little things.
Yeah.
You know, some hopefully not too major things, but like you will find little things. And I think taking a really structured approach here will help you get your head around it.
Yeah.
And as much as I know you're a lists and organization person, I'm probably not so much. My husband's a list person. I don't know how many Google Keeps he sends me. This is something you need a list for.
Yeah.
Because things will get missed. And we spoke about this on one of our previous episodes. I'm trying to remember what episode it was. We spoke about some builders are really good at like documents and like following plans. Some builders are not so much. They're very visual and they just walk around and they'll kind of remember. I personally think it's just good to send them the list that you went through after every meeting, your notes, even if they're not that person, because you have it down then in paper what you discussed on that day. And it's just something that, you know, will give you a bit of respite, get it off your mind, get it on paper or into a doc somewhere. But yeah, I think just taking the structured approach, room by room, trade by trade, you know, finish by finish will help alleviate some of the stress.
And you forget because there's so many little decisions so many things get said. Like if you're doing one walk around through a house, of course, like in the moment, like, oh, put that there and this here. And like, but there might be something that you're not sure exactly where it goes and you decide it goes here, but maybe you said it went there the last time. So just like write it all down. And I just use Apple Notes, like whatever's on your iPhone or Google Keep if you have an Android, and just like literally bullet by bullet, just keep a list of everything and then text it or email it to the builder. I used to do it every Friday. That was like my structure. Now, I was really lucky. I had a very organized builder, so it wasn't difficult. But every Friday I would come in towards the end of the day, we would sit down, I would like be keeping things that popped into my head during the week. We would do it all in one conversation. We would do one walk around and then we would send each other like the notes of what we captured, and then the same thing would happen next week, and it just kept things on track. But I did have a very organized builder who was really on top of it, so like it made it easier. It's different for every build.
It's different for every builder, and like I love our builder this time, but he's much more a kind of a goes around visually, kind of remembers everything. One time I remember he came with the notebook. He's like, I'm going to take notes of all this, and he took about 2 notes, and then my husband was there with him, and he was on the second note, I'd say, and he just fuck the notebook on the floor and kept going, because it's just not him, and he probably wouldn't look at the notebook. But just, we have a WhatsApp with him that like afterwards we're like, here's a list of stuff we went through. And then he mightn't write a checklist, but we'll have written the checklist. So at least it's there. We can all share it. We can go back on it if, you know, there's some slight disagreements as to how things were meant to be finished or how they were meant to be repaired or whatever. So I think like, an organized as possible approach here will really, really help you.
Yeah. And this is all well and good when like you do have a good relationship with your builder and you trust them and you have good tradespeople. That's gold dust in Ireland these days. Like it's really hard to find like people that you like. It's hard to find anyone, not to mind like great ones, even though they're out there for sure. Lots of them. But it just, if it's a bit contentious or the relationship isn't that warm, or maybe they're not taking as much pride in their work as you would hope, then just having everything written down to cover yourself is really important. So lists.
We kind of talk about
lists.
We talk about this in an earlier episode as well, where we're talking about like the level of detail you need in drawings. And some people will have gone through an architect and they'll have fully detailed construction drawings. They'll have a fully detailed lighting plan and
down to the millimeter
M&E plan, down to the millimeter heights, everything. But things crop up. There might be a reason they couldn't put it at that height or that, you know, spacing from the wall or whatever. Or sometimes, in my instance, like a shower tray was put in, but then a kind of an insulated stud was built out. So the shower head was off center as a result of that.
So annoying.
It's annoying, but it's not necessarily the plumber's fault. You know, it's kind of, it fell between two stools a little bit. And you have to kind of be understanding in those. Don't go straight for the nuclear button on one of the trades thinking that they've messed it up, because it might not be their fault. So I think, you know, approach it with, this is an honest mistake for the most part, but then if it's not rectified to the way you agreed with the trade, or they've tried to do a subpar rectification of whatever was wrong, that's when you can kind of start getting angry, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think assume everyone has good intentions and they're working to whatever level of drawings they had to begin with. Yeah. And then most things can be fixed.
Yeah, you're so right. Like try to take emotion out of it, even though it is, because it is a very emotional thing, right? Like it's your house, it's your home, you have a dream for it, you have a vision for how you want it to be, and you don't know, like if I knew how to install the shower, I would do it myself, but you need someone to do it for you, and you kind of trust that they will do what's in your head. Yeah. But they don't know what's in your head. They don't know if you wanted it a certain place for a certain reason. Like they probably have a few jobs on the go. And so you have to just be really clear and really communicative and try to take the emotion out and just be like, this is where it goes and how do we get it there? Yeah. You know?
And if you don't have all those fully detailed drawings like you mentioned, one of the things that I used this time that actually worked really well with the electrician. So when you saw all the bloody lights, I pulled up my Instagram, like there's so many different light fittings in my house. So I'd say in total there might have been 40 throughout the house in terms of pendants, wall lights, outdoor lights, everything. And I did a little, just like a piece of paper in the box for every light fitting.
Oh, amazing.
Where it was going at whatever height in millimeters and so much from the wall. So at least they couldn't be too far off. And that was in the box with every individual light fitting. So I thought that was a way that you could be sure, even if they didn't look at the drawings, that there was something that they had to pull out and see before they fit that light. So some of those little kind of notes or printouts on walls for bathrooms and stuff, if you use something specific in your head as to, I want my vanity at this height or my taps at this height, and you know, usually there's a kind of a standard for where a toilet should go or where tap height should be. But if you want those kind of off standard, maybe that's where you need to have a little note or have a proper chat with whatever the trade is.
Like my tiles, I have those, I can never get this word right, but those Zeliga tiles, whatever, behind, and they're at unusual spacing. They're really right up against each other. Some people don't even put grout in them. If you do, it's minimal grout. So don't assume that your tiler will know that. Like leave instructions and say that that's what it needs to look like. Leave a photo if it needs to be, if you think that's the right thing to do. One thing I think, we mentioned this in one of our first episodes around choosing a contractor and what is the right, like how do you know if you've got somebody good? And we keep saying like a lot of it comes back to communication and communication style. And I think that's so important here, because if you are somebody who maybe feels nervous about being upfront about this stuff, or is just not used to having these conversations, then there's kind of a practice like ramp in this for you, because it's not always that easy to be like up against people who are experts, who know a lot more than you and who maybe are not that welcoming to your input or something. So like if you're listening and that's you're not alone. There's a lot of people like that. So you kind of have to get used to, like, don't be over apologetic. Don't over explain. don't write like an essay saying, I'm sorry, but can we do this? Can we do that? I think just try to be as direct and as clear as you possibly can, and like give the information and give the instruction as early as you possibly can to your builder. Just say, this is the way it needs to be. This is how I want it. Like friendly, but don't be like, oh, and would it be okay if, and do you mind if, like, it's so Irish a little bit to be like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but can you install this for me, please? Like, oh, you know,
I'm sorry, but you put my toilet in upside down. Geez, I'm so sorry, I wanted it the other way.
And we have such a tendency to be like, over-explain and apologize for everything. And not everyone is like that, but it's just it's an Irish way. And this is an area where you just have to get used to saying, this needs to go here, this needs to go there, this is, you know, needs to be moved an inch to the left. How long might that take? And of course say please and thank you, but just everybody appreciates directness and early communication. Like that is
as really early as you can.
As early as you can. You do everyone a favor.
You're doing, and don't think you're being awkward at the start when, you know, some builders love to just get the pipework in.
Yeah.
And we'll deal with kind of repercussions and moving things a little bit or a little bit later. It's always better to get it in early. So if you have a preference, just put that note up when they're doing the first fix.
Yeah.
Just say, I want my toilet here, I want the taps here, this is the size of my vanity or whatever. I pick bathrooms a lot because bathrooms are a very technical one where a lot of things have to come together. You know, like you've waste traps and you've tileable shower trays and you've, you know, tanking and sealing and you've spacing for toilets. So like they are one of the more complicated rooms to get right, I think. So the more information you can give them early on, the better.
Yeah.
And even for your kitchen, I think that's something you should get kind of nailed as soon as you can.
Yeah.
As in get your kind of kitchen layout and design and get the drawings or the electrical layouts and the mechanical and electrical layouts for the kitchen as required. So at least they're not shifting things then the week before the kitchen comes in. Or, they can kind of notice if something is slightly off versus what's on the drawing.
Yeah.
If a wall had to be built out or a wall had to be knocked or whatever. So I think, as early as you can, the better.
And like have it in your head that like every day that you hesitate to like bring something up, it's going to cost you like twice as much, 3 times as much. Because if you don't move that pipe and then the plasterboard goes up and then you don't say it again and then the plaster goes over it and then you don't say it again and then the painter is in, it's costing you 4 times more to move that pipe to where it needs to be than if you had just said it early on. So just rip off the plaster, be brave, like be really clear, really concise and say this is where you need to go.
Can I just say something as well? We've said this as well. Use ChatGPT.
Use ChatGPT.
Oh my God. Like if you're not sure and you're like, this looks a bit weird, or there seems to be not enough pipes going to the boiler or to your heat recovery system or your heat pump or whatever, take a picture of it and ask ChatGPT, does this look like? What's missing? It's amazing what it'll give you back.
Yeah.
It'll be like, that looks blah, 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 but that piping is a little bit old now. This only has a U value of whatever. You could actually upgrade to this type of piping. It will be more insulated. You know, like just ask that and kind of educate yourself before you go talking to them. You'll feel a bit more confident then questioning things when you have a bit more background knowledge yourself.
ChatGPT is brilliant. Perplexity, Perplexity.ai is another model, same thing as ChatGPT. But it pulls from multiple LLMs, not to get too techie, but you can choose which one it pulls from. I find it better at searching the web and bringing back more accurate, up-to-date information. So I love it for those things because it just has the latest and greatest.
Does it have a little bit of free use like ChatGPT?
Yeah, it has free use. Yeah, it does. Enough that you won't need to pay for it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. No, I think that's a great one because even just we had some issues with some of the pipework coming from our boiler that were meant to go across to the manifold, which is across on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
And the pipes weren't there when they were pouring the concrete. And like, if the concrete's poured, like where does it go then? Like you can't channel it out because the underfloor is in and everything. So like the repercussions of that being wrong would have been absolutely enormous.
Yeah. And that's why it's worth site visits. I remember coming here and like I had such a great experience with my contractor. I don't have any negative feedback. But one thing, I called down one day and they're about to install radiators and I was like, there's no radiators going into this house. It's all underfloor heating. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's underfloor heating. And he was like, right, thank God. Because radiators would have gone in, floor would have gone down. And I don't know where the gap was, but don't assume, check and just, be fair to your tradespeople.
Yeah, and remember, this isn't their house. They're probably working on 5 or 10 houses at the one time. So like, don't expect them to know every single detail about your house like you know it. Because you'll know it inside out because it's your one and only. And, it's what you're living, breathing, sleeping, thinking about all the time. So I think, assume that if it's not on a drawing, it's not going to get done that way.
And even if it is, just make sure and just double check because maybe they've 10 things in their head and that one thing fell out and just, be fair to them.
Yeah.
So one thing to think about, we're talking about at the end of the renovation. One thing you need to think about early on when you're getting your pricing and your quotes and you're like agreeing and going into a contract with your builder and tradespeople is retention.
Yeah.
So retention is a portion of the overall fee that you're paying to them that you hold back until everything is done perfectly.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the region of 5 to 10% even is pretty high. But
it's a negotiation at the start, right?
Yeah.
Like for you as the renovator, as high as you can get it, the better.
Yeah.
Some builders want it as low as, 2.5%. I would say no. Some builders want 5%. Some builders, if they give you 10%, great, take it. But then there's also a timing element. So how long do they hold it back for? Do they hold it back 6 months after the handover? Do they hold it back a year after the handover? And I think that's a good telling sign if a builder really trusts their work, if they give you 10% in a year.
Like that's incredible.
That's amazing.
That means they will come back in that year and whatever goes wrong or isn't, according to spec, they will fix it and they don't get their last 10%. And it's really worth it because some builders, not to shame, but like there are some people who will just write off that 2.5%, 5%, whatever it might be, because they're on to the next job and they just don't care and it's not worth their while coming back. And we don't have strong enough.
So it depends on the size of your project. So if your project is small, you want a higher retention for the chances of them coming back. If you're at a 300,000 euro renovation, that 30 grand might be worth it to them to come back over the course of a year. But if there was a major thing wrong, it mightn't. They might write it off. So get that as high as you can early on, negotiate it with your contractor. And then that's your kind of, I guess, stronghold as you work through the snag list.
Yeah. Okay, so the snag list.
Snag list. So like I have a snag list that I'm using at the moment.
Right.
And we can make this available maybe to our
anyone who has
birders.
signed up at ripitupearlybird@gmail.com. Thank you so much again. We're gonna send you the snag list as a thing to have for the end of your renovation because it's so useful.
Yeah. So usually I try and group them. So like general kind of something that will cover all rooms, then maybe certain things like that might be in a living room, like a fireplace, TV points, all that kind of stuff, like might be room specific. Then into your kitchens, your bathrooms, en suites, that's obviously a very plumbing centered, but it can also bring in tiles, it can also bring in lighting if that's not working right, or heated mirrors, all that kind of stuff. And then work through the bedrooms have less stuff. Like for example, like we're living in the house now, our bedrooms are done. There's nothing for anyone to do because they're very simple.
Flooring, windows, lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Paint, done.
And then your structural exterior, not so pretty stuff, your rainwater guttering. Ideally, you'd love a heavy rain shower before you move back in and pay that retention, or or get the snags done, because that tells a lot. A heavy rain shower in Ireland will tell you a lot for your rain guttering, and if it's right and you can hear it smacking off the ground
or
outside,
drip. Oh my god, I remember one of the first rain showers after I moved into this house after renovation, and there was just this incessant drip the morning after a heavy shower. Again, luckily I had an amazing builder. He was fantastic. He came straight back. He found it. He fixed it. I was like, it's outside somewhere. I don't know where it is, but like I'm being tortured here.
Yeah. And then your mechanical and electrical, that's a big one. So we talked about your M&E plan. So all your plumbing, all your like pipe work, all that, and then your electrical, so your trip boards, all your lighting, all that, and making sure your system, whether it's your heating system has all been pressure tested, all the rads have been filled, all that kind of stuff. It's like you'd never do a handover and we're in the middle of summer now, so I don't need my rads on, but I need them filled because I need to know if there's going to be leaks on when I turn them on. So we have found a little leak in our landing one. So stuff like that, you have to fill the rads. They have to be filled for a while. You have to have the heating system running. You have to have the underfloor running.
That's a lot of an ask given the week that we've just had here in Ireland. Yeah, but
I know.
You got to do it.
But you have to. But so things in mechanical, electrical, let's start there because it's kind of technical. Yeah. And then maybe we'll go into bathrooms and then the more general,
decorative
kind of obvious stuff. Yeah. Scuff, skirting, all that kind of stuff. So mechanical, electrical, your fuse boards, making sure they're all labelled, safe.
So your fuse board will have a bunch of trip switches on it. Just trip them, turn them on, turn them off, check the light switch. Does that trip switch work? Does it not? Easy.
Everything kind of tested. Turn on every single light in the house. Make sure things aren't tripping, make sure the switches are working if you have kind of multi-area switches for the same lights or whatever. So
check the dimmers, turn them on together, plug things in, have a hairdryer going if you can.
So heating zones, timers, thermostats, if you have all those, if they're all working and they're all talking to each other. Like I said, the plumbing joints leak free.
Yeah, so run water, run the showers, make sure the shower drain is working okay, like keep that shower running. I'm sorry, I know we're talking about wasting water and electricity here, but it's not much. Yeah. Keep it running, make sure it doesn't overfill, make sure, that there isn't any spillage or that there's any leaks in the floor under underneath. So if you have an upstairs shower, go downstairs, keep the shower running for like a good few minutes, and just make sure there isn't anything appearing, like any watermarks, anything coming through the roof. Yeah. You just never know.
Yeah, no, it's happened in my last house, and it actually happened this morning in this house. Great. But in the last house, we had a tanked bathroom with a bath, but then there was a floor-mounted bath tap fitted after the fact, and they drilled through the tanking.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I wasn't so happy. So I was showering in that bath at the start because our other ensuite or whatever wasn't ready, and I didn't have a shower curtain. So I expected, the splash over to be fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It came through where they had drilled through that tap. So it had to be sealed around that. But just things like that, you'll have to kind of problem solve. It might seem like, oh my God, this is the biggest problem ever at the time. You have water coming down through your ceiling. I'm going to have to pull out my ceiling. Not necessarily. There's ways and means of troubleshooting it, like filling the shower tray, filling the bath. So then you can kind of decipher if it's the waste or it's cracked grout or it's bad tanking or it's, so you can find out depending on how you feel and how you check.
That's a great point about the waste. So the waste is like the little overflow hole at the top of your bath or the top of your sink or whatever it might be. And I had an issue with my waste in my bath that I only realized when I was in the bath one day and like filled it up again.
It wasn't connected.
And then heard like a weird watery dripping noise, and I came downstairs and there was an issue with the waste. It wasn't connected properly, and just water was like pouring through
like
my
the
ceiling
main
downstairs.
waste or the kind of overflow waste?
The overflow waste.
Same happened in one of our basins actually.
So like the hole at the top of your bath where like water spills out if you overfill it. And again, amazing builder, came straight back, fixed it, not a problem since.
But these things happen.
Check it before they go.
These things happen because some basins or some sinks have like an overflow, but then the waste trap they might have used mightn't have that overflow connection. So like it's key. They're the kind of little issues that you'll find once you kind of start pulling this stuff together. Yeah. So water pressure tested your whole system, underfloor heating tested, make sure you don't have any maybe cold spots. It's hard to tell obviously at this time of year when the floors are warmer and stuff. All your smoke alarms and all that, carbon monoxide alarms are, working, testing, connected. And if you have any ventilation systems, stuff like that.
And plug things in, whatever, like a phone charger or something. And you check all the plugs and make sure everything's
absolutely
working okay.
The plugs and the switches on the plugs. If you have any like USB plugs, any of those, try every little bit because some of them.
And under every sink, like just leave your kitchen sink running for a while and just put, I don't know, a cloth or something underneath and just see, is there any water at all coming through or is it okay?
And one thing that we got actually, we had it temporarily when we didn't have a kitchen in the last place, and we have it in our ensuite because we had this slim water trap that goes down the back of the vanity in order not to encroach inside the vanity, if you know what I mean, so you don't have to cut out the vanity. But really those wastes need to have a U-bend, and the purpose of that U-bend is to stop smells coming back up. And this one was straight, and I said this needs a U-bend because I can smell the pipe smells coming back up. So that's why you see these kind of U-bends. So things like that, that's another kind of plumbing one that you might encounter. It's pretty easy fix, but just don't panic if you get that smell in your bathroom for some reason. It's just probably the wrong waste installed. In terms of like the leaks, there's a bit of troubleshooting, I suppose, in them. If it's your shower, like we said, you might need to fill the shower to see if it's like grout tanking. Is it the waste below the shower tray that's leaking? And then rads, like it could just be the connections to the rad, hopefully. Usually that's where it is if you're seeing it at ground level or, above ground level. And then if it's coming down through the ceiling, you might need to lift floorboard or something. So test this before and you put in any carpet or anything or finish floors.
Seals can happen as well, so especially in a bath, because when you fill a bath and you get into a bath, you're adding a lot of weight onto that bath, and the seals might have been installed fine around the edge of it, just the silicone, whatever, around the edge of it. But when you get into it, that could settle a bit more than expected. So run a bath and get into the bath and just make sure that it's okay and that you don't have any cracks appearing around the edges.
And a lot of good kind of mastic people or those sealant people that are doing that work will fill the bath and then do the sealant. So at least that extra weight's been pulled down while they're doing it. But water's not your friend at the end of these renovations.
That's the number one. Check out the plumbing. It's just so important.
It's absolutely. So then let's talk about more general stuff. So I'm going through this at the moment, like walls, that's fairly straightforward. If you have decorators and stuff and you're not doing all the painting yourself, just make sure they're kind of all finished smoothly. See if you're starting to see hairline cracks, because you will a lot.
You will, and this is the thing, like a few weeks even, or a few months after moving into your house, you're going to see a few little cracks. Houses settle. There isn't really a way, I don't know anyway, of avoiding that. There's going to be a couple of little cracks.
Yeah, there will be. But just have a look, and especially look in kind of ceiling cracks and stuff like that in case any of them are kind of structural that when people were walking up there and now it's damaged beyond kind of a filling, you know, a few months later. Skirting boards is another one, like that they're finished well, you know, the corners are mitered or whatever finish, that you're happy with the finish. Just do a kind of a walk around the perimeter of every room and make sure it looks tidy. And
like just looking, eyeballing like along the edge of the skirting board where it meets the floor, where it meets the wall, and then the top of the ceiling where the ceiling and the wall meet each other. Yeah. Does that look straight? Or like, is there a way, because sometimes it can be just not, and then everything beyond that just...
It's rarely straight in really old houses.
Yeah. And you can, you can live with it sometimes.
It's character.
Yeah. And it is sometimes, and that's fine. That's just life. But like, just if you're planning to like put something up against that wall, or like I use one wall as a projector. I have a projector that I watch movies on. And if that's not straight, that can be really annoying. Yeah. But maybe it's fine.
Door handles, locks, latches. Yeah. Make sure all the doors are closed. There's not a rattle in it when it's closed. So like usually the way to tighten doors is that the strike plate, or the bit that's in the door frame that holds a little latch, maybe needs to be pushed forward or pushed back, so it tightens or loosens when you're closing the door.
And unfortunately that can just be a time thing, because like depending on the type of door you have, they can kind of swell or settle a little bit, depending if it's hot or if it's wet or whatever, with temperature changes in particular. So it could be a few weeks, but just keep an eye on that and just notice, like if it's getting sticky, or if it's just not locking properly, or it's catching somewhere, that's not terrible. Like that can be fixed. You know, it's normal, but just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, for sure. As well as door latches and locks, window latches and locks. So you may have had your windows put in months ago, like, because usually it's to make the house kind of watertight and then they can work inside. But then there's a lot of work happening in the house. They get damaged, or grit and, you know, dust and whatever can get in the runners if they're kind of, you know, sliding doors and windows and stuff like that. So make sure every door and window is opening smoothly. The latches, the locks are working. You can lock the doors fully. Our French doors are quite stiff at the moment, the locks. Yeah. Just because, like, I think there was grit and crap and they probably weren't greased, or if they were greased, the kind of building dust has gotten into them. So it might be a call out to get all the locks and latches and all that serviced on your windows if you've got a windows place. So light switches and sockets, not necessarily functionality from an electrical perspective, but just how they're finished around them.
Yeah, so are they even? Yeah. Are they in the right amount from the edge of the wall? Is there a straight line on the top of them? Is there any gaps around the edges?
Put in a tight plug and pull it out as well. Sometimes it can pull the back box a little bit, and just watch it around. A lot of, you know, the real fancy face plates for, like, you know, the metal or whatever, like the kind of more decorative plug sockets and switches, they're not forgiving. Like they really need those edges tidied up, and that might be a job for your decorator, or maybe the electrician needs to kind of reset some of those. Yeah. So that's something to watch, just the switches, sockets and everything, because that finish can kind of look messy if it's not really done properly. Yeah. Just paint splashes. Stains, window, like, I mean, it's very straightforward.
There's going to be probably a couple of little splatters, maybe on windows, maybe on like floor, potentially. Like, one thing as well, it depends. Like sometimes your cleaner will clean, or your builder will clean for you. Like leave a really clean house. Sometimes they might not, and like there is so much dust that comes with construction. It's just inevitable. Yeah. So check with them if they're going to do that, and if not, it's really worth hiring a specialist, like end of renovation cleaner. You might be paying something like 200 quid. If you know somebody who's going through a renovation, that's a great present. If you're like,
a great present.
Unreal present. It's such a sound thing to do. Maybe it's like your family all clubbed together or something. Yeah, oh really?
Like upwards of 1,000 for some of them for a full house. Oh wow. So like it depends, I suppose, the level they have to do.
I think this house is so tiny, they're like, it's fine.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of places. It depends on how tidy your builder is too. Right? Yeah. Some builders have literally plaster all over the bloody frames and the glass and everything, which requires a much deeper clean, I suppose. So like, yeah, they can be really expensive.
It's a hard job though. Like it is like really getting dust, like really fine dust out of every single corner, especially if you've got carpets and your furniture is there and everything. It's hard, like it's not easy. So it's worth it. And a bit more specific, but like decorative plasterwork then as well. So like for us, we had someone come in and repair all the decorative plasterwork. So if you have an old house with cornicing, sometimes services and wires and whatever could have come through that. They might need to fill those holes. And like if there's box out, things have been boxed out properly and finished properly, and they're not in the way of the cornicing. The ceiling rose is still intact and, you know, not broken or whatever. So all those kind of decorative plaster work, it's a bit more specific, but like, you know, something to watch out for anyway. And then another thing in finishes that is a big deal. It's a big deal for me is transitions. From like bathroom into hallway or anything. Yeah.
That's a big one. And
that's one to check early on before the stuff goes down. Like, is there a height difference? And if so, is that going to be leveled out by the types of materials that are going down? Or is there going to be a height difference, like just a millimeter or two? You're stubbing your toe on that thing every day. It's going to drive you insane.
Yeah.
So
that's a tricky one to get right. And it's something our builder asked us very early on. He was like, I don't care what kind of tiles you're putting down, just show me the millimeter thickness and you know how they've been, you know.
And know that if you change your tiles and there's a different thickness, then you might encounter that. That's really frustrating.
So getting all those transitions right and the thresholds right is a tricky one. And the more information you have on that early on, the better, because it's a hard one to fix after the fact.
Flooring as well, tiles. So just make sure, like, check all the tiles and make sure there isn't any chips.
Yes.
And the other thing is, just make sure you have excess. So whenever you're buying flooring, you're going to have 10% or something like that of excess, and just keep that stored somewhere, because you're going to chip a plank, you're going to chip it, something's going to happen. So just make sure you know where it is and you've access to it. Same with paint, like just have a tin of like the right paint, because you might think you can go back and get the same color and it'll be fine, but you can't, because different batches have tiny variations in them.
For sure,
often, and so we just might not end up with the same.
Yeah, and same with tiles, especially natural stone. You're like, they might look different. One batch might look different to the next. So it's definitely worth keeping at least a few of every tile or floor plank or whatever you need. What else? What were we talking about there before you said that? We were talking about the thresholds,
flooring.
The tiles. Sorry, you were saying like just make sure the tile finish is right, but when you're looking at the skirting, look at the tile finishes or the wood floor finishes around that perimeter as well. It's a good kind of double check. So you're looking at, you said you're looking at the skirting and the transition to the floor. But typically that's where you'll see cut-offs of tiles and cut-offs of plank. And make sure there's not this tiny little bit that's going to be jiggly in a few weeks.
Because it will peel up, and it will just, any gap at all will cause other things to shift around. So you don't want
and it's very easy to fill it with grout or mastic or something like that. But you don't want that all over your house. So like, while the tiler is still in the building, like try and be getting those little bits filled in and properly
also
done.
Check with them about, like, when you're buying the tile, and then when the tiler is still there, check with them about, have they put sealant down? So if you're putting tiles in your bathroom, usually what they do is they'll pour a sealant over it. It's a liquid, it just goes on with a kind of a sponge, you let it soak in, and it's kind of a once and done thing. You don't necessarily need to redo it over the course of the lifetime of the tiles usually. So have they done that? Is that is that in, or do you need to do that? And then how do those tiles need to be cleaned? Because lots of different types of tiles will have different cleaners. Usually something like a pH neutral gentle soap will do the job, and that's fine. But just like, can you get more abrasive with it if it's really dirty or not? So just make sure you've got that before you throw away the box that your tiles and stuff came in. Yeah,
so will we go to the big one? Well, I think it's a big one. Bathrooms and en-suites.
Yeah, where the big problems happen.
Toilet flush working, no leaks, fixed firmly to the floor and wall. Sometimes if walls are a bit off, your cistern can be out, and if things aren't level, they'll stop working properly, or you'll have a big gap down the back of your cistern, which is not what you want either.
Yeah.
Your sink taps working, no leaks around your waste traps, all that sealed around the basin, like you said, so someone has come and done that silicone or mastic or whatever.
And this is one, again, this is why it's worth having a retention that is maybe 6 months or a year down the line, because sometimes you won't see those leaks until black spots start appearing a few months down the line, where water is getting stuck and mold is growing. So that is something that might need to be fixed. Now, that could be as simple as throwing a bit of extra silicone on it or something.
Yeah.
But just keep an eye for it.
Your tiling finishes, I suppose, in the bathroom, that they're kind of grout, there's no gaps in grout, stuff like that. There's no broken edges. Something to mention on tiles, it's not necessarily on the snags, but like specifying a little early on, is how you want edges finished.
Yeah.
Some want tile trim, some don't, some want mitered. You need to kind of verify that with the tiler, because a lot of tilers will take for granted that tile trim is okay.
Especially if you're tiling, if you're putting in an alcove or a recess in your shower, like, are you okay with a trim around the edge of that? Are you okay with naked tile edges around the edge of that? I like that for my cement tiles, I thought that look kind of nice. Or do you want them mitered so that they're at an angle and they meet each other perfectly and there's no seam at all almost?
I personally hate tile trim, so I've specified early on that I wanted no tile trim, and the tiler was okay with that, but some tilers mightn't be, so it's just a watch out.
And just go back and check. Did they forget? Is that, did they have something else on that day? Just ask. One thing is, I think is really important as well, if you've got more than one shower especially, or an upstairs and downstairs showers, whatever, run all showers at the same time for a while, maybe have the radiators going too, and then go back and double check your pump. So if you have a water pump or whatever, combi boiler, something like that, things can happen that make the water pressure drop below a certain bar, and then your pump can kind of seize up and freak out, and you have to refill it. And if that happens, okay, sometimes it just happens and it's not the end of the world, and maybe like if it crops up once a year, whatever, just learn how to redo it. And that brings me actually to another thing is, we'll come back to it, but just have a list like from your builder on how to work your house, like how to do these things. But yeah, run everything and just make sure that the pump and that the boiler are able to deal with it and that it doesn't drop the water pressure too low. And if that does happen, either go back and figure out what's going on, get it fixed, you need a better pump, or if and ask your builder how do you refill it in the case that might happen in, I don't know, the case of like a big freeze or something like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point though you made, just asking like a manual for your house.
A manual for your house, so important.
A lot of trades kind of open the box. They're so used to seeing this or fitting this that they go, manual just goes somewhere. They just throw it whatever. Like they don't use it. But it's useful for you down the line. So get them to save all that, or at least the models of things, so you're not trying to decipher the models.
And you need the models because a lot of times it's very much worth your while. Go round with everything that you have, your pump, your boiler, your fridge, your dishwasher, everything that's like electronic at all, or any big item like that, and register it, because a lot of times the warranty doesn't kick in until you register online. So, and you might get an extended warranty of like 3 years as opposed to 1 or something like that, but just go and do that and have a note of that everywhere.
Yeah, and one thing that's kind of coming up more and more now is commissioning kind of things that are installed. So for example, if you're putting an EV charger, some of these EV chargers now, you need like an RFID card, or you need to connect your phone. But if the installer doesn't hand that over properly to the new owner, it can't be done down the line. So we have a car charger just gone in, but we don't have the cards anywhere. And our electrician's on holidays at the moment. So we're like, we can't use it.
Oh my God.
So that handover, just making sure that doesn't go out in the bin too, and they can do that handover properly or whatever. So there's some, you know, as devices are getting smarter in your home, there's a little bit more of that, accounts, handovers, setups and stuff like that.
Like thermostat, smart anything, like just make sure. Actually, another one that's really interesting one to take a note of that you might not think of is your front door lock. So what type of front door do you have and what type of lock is installed in it? Because you will get locked out, or something will break, and it's so helpful if you're calling an emergency locksmith to know, same for your back door or whatever. What type of door is it? What type of lock is it? Just write that down somewhere with that list.
And then the more minor things in bathrooms, like, one slightly major one in the bathroom is underfloor heating. If you have a Devi mat, just make sure that's working and it's actually heating up, because it's hard to do when the tiler's gone and you might need to lift a tile if it's not working or whatever. And then the more minor things, toilet roll holders, towel racks, whatever, stuff like that. Again, if you have a specific point you want it, say it. Or mark it in pencil or chalk or whatever on the wall. Like, just say exactly where you want it. So those kind of things, making sure they're all in the right place.
Yeah, and that's something you need to agree with your contractor early as well, is like, to what level are they finishing everything? Are they installing your toilet? Like, they will typically, right? That's usually the level of, like, if you have stuff bought, they'll hang a mirror for you. They'll put your toilet roll holder up for you. Like, that's, you know, like, most of these people want to do a good job and want to leave a house that they're proud of. So like, that's where you get to. But yeah, tell them where it is. Just be really clear. They don't know. They don't know where you want it. You want it in a certain place because that's where your favorite hotel has it. Like, tell them.
And extractor fans in a bathroom as well. Making sure they're installed. And that's something actually that I specified early on, because I just hate the look of extractor fans. They're really ugly and they're always really loud, and like standard, like electricians will just put in the standard ones unless you specify otherwise. And you can get nicer ones with kind of more slicker, maybe paintable faceplates and stuff like that. So they're much more subtle. So it's just something to just watch out for early. If you hate the look of an extractor fan, or you want a really quiet one that doesn't wake people up when it's switched on or whatever, maybe specify that, and you might have to pay a little bit extra for it, but I think it's worth it. Another one that I just thought of that is good to ask about is, in every kitchen, there's a bank of switches that will switch off the main appliances if they're built-in appliances. Is that really clear, and is that labelled? So if your fridge is defrosting or something, or your oven is broken or something, you need to be able to switch that off, because it's going to be plugged in, you know, at a place that you can't access it. It's like behind the fridge. So like, unless you're strong enough to pull your fridge out and plug it out. So just check where that is, check that it's clearly labelled and that they're working, and that you know where they are for future. Okay, so then a really simple one. Bedrooms. Easy. There's not much. Are the windows okay? Are the lights working? Are the plugs working? Exactly. Just always early as well. Again, early, like, just know where your bed is going and make sure that the plugs are in the right place for that bed. Because your contractor may not know if you're planning to buy a double or a king. You might be like, of course I'm buying a king. Why would I not buy a king? They don't know that. So just make sure that you're like, the bed is going here. It's going to be this size. Therefore, the plugs need to be here, so that you can plug in your phone when you're in bed or whatever. And you're not blocking it with the headboard or whatever else. I asked for the plugs. Or are you getting a wider headboard? Do you want the plugs higher? Or do you on the headboard? Or on the headboard? Do you want them down by the floor, like on the ground? Like, it's different for every house, and they won't know. So just
be clear.
I put the wall lights pretty low because our bed is really low. We have like a really low bed frame. He couldn't believe how low I was, but I was like, that's just our bed frame. So just, I was really specific with the electrician. I just stepped through it, and the spacing for the sockets. And he was like, what about the wall light switches? And I was like, can we put them down beside the socket? And he was like, but then it's kind of a little bit hidden. And I was like, I kind of want it hidden because I didn't want it on my lovely wallpaper.
Yeah.
I didn't want it visible, so everything is kind of below my side table.
Okay, yeah, but that's easy when you're lying in bed.
It's still easy to reach it.
It's much easier to reach it.
But it's not visible on my... So if you're specific on stuff like that.
Yeah,
just,
and it's always worth as well, because you're like, well, where'd the light switches go? Like, if you have... It's really good to have light switches maybe by your main door, so that when you're coming into your bedroom, you can turn them on.
Yeah.
And then beside your bed, so that when you're in bed, you can turn it off.
Yeah. If you're getting them to install curtain rails, and you have curtains already
Be so specific.
So specific.
How long are the
millimeters from the floor?
Are they 250? Are they 260?
Yeah.
Like how long are they?
Don't just say I want a curtain rail above that window.
Yeah.
If you have curtains already made.
Yeah. It means something different to everybody. Tell them exactly. Yeah. And like, if in doubt, you want it higher.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be like, you always want it, whatever, 10 centimeters below the roof or all the way up to the roof if you can. That's if you're not sure. But tell them that. They don't know.
Exactly. We have a tapered ceiling in our a vaulted ceiling in our master now. So it tapers very narrow at the top. So I had to go and say 10 centimeters above the window frame or the window architrave or whatever. So I did it there because I wanted the curtains wider, and if I'd gone to the ceiling, it would have been too narrow, it would have been in front of the window, if that makes sense, the drop. We installed them ourselves, but like I was specified to my husband, been like, here, we hold on the curtains, and we measured it, I don't know how many times, we held the curtains up again and did it again, like it's something that can go so wrong if it's wrong. Yeah. And then you're drilling more holes in your wall, and you especially don't want to drill holes if like the walls are already finished and all that. So that's just something to watch out for. And then if you have wardrobes installed, they're all moving fine, the doors are fine. If there's lights in there, the lights are working. And if you sockets inside in the wardrobe for like appliances and stuff, make sure that they're working, because you can't get in behind the wardrobes again. It might be hard to. So stuff like that for the bedrooms, I think is kind of what I have on my list anyway.
And that's it. Bedrooms are pretty easy. Is the flooring okay? It's fine.
Flooring, it's a great one though. It's a great one to set up. Is it creaky? It's key. And do you know why it's key? Because a lot of people carpet their bedrooms, and once carpet goes down, you can't fix a creaky floor. You cannot fix a creaky floor. So we have a kind of a ply base screwed down now, ready for carpet in our master bedroom. And it was squeaking this morning, and I was like jumping in, and I was like, Cian, the spot, we have to fix it before the carpet guy gets here. So yeah, squeaky floorboards will drive you insane. Our rental had squeaky floors everywhere because they put in new carpet, and I'd say nothing was done before they put in the new carpet. Yeah. So everywhere you walked, you got up, if someone got up to go to the toilet in the middle of the night, it was like creak, creak, creak. It'll drive you insane. So do a bit of a jump test and walk around anywhere carpets are getting installed or any floorboards.
And your stairs, don't forget your stairs. Go up and down your stairs in the middle, go on either side, do whatever, and just, because it's not a hard fix. It's just a little loose plank or whatever, like you can seal it or nail it or something. Yeah. But just check it, because that could
and ideally the biggest and heaviest person in your household. Yeah. Rather than sending your toddlers around. They won't creak the floorboards anyway. Yeah. So so that's it. Bedrooms are fairly straightforward, I'd say. Yeah. One thing that's not super straightforward unless you're familiar with it is the structural and interior. Like, so if you've brickwork done, that's all done. If you've sills to be cleaned, if they're granite and stuff like that, that's all been done. Yeah. Any kind of downpipes, rain guttering, all that kind of stuff, they're connected and working right. Hope for a good rain shower before anything is done. Roof tiles and slates, no gaps. Yeah. Gaps in roof tiles and slates.
Is the flashing done around your chimney? Yeah. Double check for that, because that's one that often gets just missed.
Chimneys capped if they're not used. Yeah. And capped properly, because you can get water leakage back in. Yeah. So have just a visual look at like all your chimneys from the ground up and see that they all look correct and they're repointed. If you're doing any brickwork or any of that, like, so any missing mortar in between the bricks and all that. Yeah. Gutters, downpipes, doors and windows from outside, that there's no draft, they're all ceiling right, draft excluders.
Just like put your hand around it even and just see. Again, this is going to be hard in summertime, it's going to be easier in wintertime because you'll easily check when there's a cold spot. Yeah. But just, run your hand around. Is there any bit of a breeze or any bit of a coldness? Nighttime is a good time to check.
And same for tiles outside. So if you have any kind of tiling, patios, slabs, whatever, that they're all level, even. There's no broken ones, no trip hazards, your path, all that kind of stuff.
Your drainage outside. So again, if you've got a heavy rain shower, is there any water pooling anywhere, or is it all running off? Is everything okay? Yeah. If you've an outdoor tap installed, which you should, always really useful. Is that draining okay? Is that working okay? Is there pressure on that? Fine. And same for any outdoor lights or anything like that.
And the taps, put them in. I feel like they're like sockets. You won't regret an extra one.
Oh, always an outdoor tap and an outdoor socket.
Yeah,
even if you think you're never going to use it, just put it in.
We have ones
so handy.
Front and back.
Yeah.
And it's something you kind of forget in the front, but it's so handy if you clean the car, if you want to hose down your garden path, the front, whatever. I think it's totally worth having one front and back.
Totally.
That's kind of my major ones, I suppose. And the last is kind of like handover, unless you want to go through any.
So you do a final walkthrough typically on the last day with your contractor. Like, I know, okay, we're talking here for 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
Nearly. And if you're listening, if you're still listening,
well done.
And it sounds overwhelming, but these aren't massive things. These are all small little things. They'll only take a couple of minutes each, but just like have your list, which we will send to you, have your list and have it ready to go. And like, it's overwhelming, but if you're prepared and you've had those conversations early and you keep that list, then you're going to end up with the perfect house and no problems and everything's going to be fine.
And like you said, they're all tiny things, but this is why lists are so important, because there's a million little things.
Just keep
and
them
you
all
won't be able
down.
to keep track of them unless you're keeping, good lists.
Yeah.
And try not to panic. Even though I'm panicking for the last 2 weeks.
Things will go wrong. Of course they will. And it's not even wrong. It's just things will turn out different to what you expected.
Yeah.
There will be miscommunications. It's not the end of the world. Keep the emotion out of it. Be super direct. Be as early as you possibly can with your, like, what you want and your feedback.
Yeah. And you be as specific as you can early on. And don't imagine that all the trades are in your head like you are.
Exactly.
But in terms of handover then, like we mentioned, the manuals, appliance stocks, handover
your MPRN and your GPRN. So you may not know that if it's a new house, your auctioneer should have sent it to you anyway, but just make sure that you have it and you know it's written down somewhere. That's your gas number and your electricity number.
And
if you have gas.
Your certificates? Is there any kind of electrical sign-off? Your gas safety sign-off of your gas?
And just ask your builder. So like, I didn't know, like when I moved into my house, there's some things that you as a first-time homeowner might not know. Like you have to get your boiler serviced every year. Does everybody know that? Like I know there's ads about it, but if you have a gas boiler, even if you have a heat pump, you still have to get them serviced every year. And that is really important for your home insurance and your safety and your well-being, So things like that, like just make sure you know how to change. Like what happens if your smoke alarm or your carbon monoxide detector start beeping? Do you know how to take that off and how to change that?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for all of that stuff. Like they're not going to not show you, but just make sure you know how to use that. Do you know where your water cutoff switch is? So if you have a leak anywhere, the first thing you need to do is cut off your water. Do you know where that valve is, the cutoff valve? Again, the trip switches at your fuse board. Do you know how to turn those off if something goes wrong? What else am I not thinking of? Handover list. That's kind of it. How is it not that hard, I suppose?
And when you're doing your list, if your builder is very visual or it's hard to write a concise note about exactly what you're talking about, take a little photo of it as well.
Yeah, or a video even.
Folder. If there's something really specific that you want to share, and they're not there to see it. List to your friend. Get through it.
Yeah. Lists. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, guys.
And thank you again to anyone who signed up. We will be in touch soon. ripitupearlybird@gmail.com and
we'll send through your Snag checklist.
Your Snag checklist for anyone who signed up. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.
If you found that episode useful, please do us a huge favour by giving us a like and a few stars, and especially click that subscribe button. Thank you.